pleased to present for your consideration.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jabberbox Podcast, episode 22. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Bond, and with me is the bug breaker of video game world, or video game worlds, Randal Homberg. What's up, Randal?
How's it going?
If you're joining in for the very first time, then you should know that the show is about the two of us as we ramble on through the pop culture topics such as, but not limited to, games, movies, shows, and whatever else we want to jabber about. You can get the show over on youtube.com/dandydigital or over on Spotify and iTunes or any of the other podcast services that you listen to by searching Jabberbox and hitting that subscribe button. If you like what you hear and want to be part of the show, head on over to patreon.com/dandydigital. Have some housekeeping for you. There will be no Jabberbox episode for next week, as we will, at Dandy Digital, be taking a break for the United States Thanksgiving, and we'll be spending it with families and such, but we'll be back starting in December. Now let's get on with the show. Randal, thank you so much for joining the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, you are, like, what do you do for a day job so much?
Oh, no problem. Glad to be here. I work at the Manpower group with Experis, and basically I test first-party Microsoft games through the third party. So we are a third-party company that works with Microsoft directly. And I recently helped work on the Age of Empires 4 game, and I've been working on that for the last 3 years. So that's...
Which is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, for sure.
So when you work for, as the third party for these types of games, what is it exactly that you're doing? Is it, are you just on the hunt for those bugs? Are you doing that typical video game tester that all of these boys, such as myself as a teenager, wanted to do in high school, where it's like you could test these video games for a living? What you're doing?
So I mean, right off the bat, you kind of have to, if you've ever seen Grandma's Boy, the job is actually probably about 5% that, and none of which takes place at the grandmother's house. And it really also depends on what project you're working on and where you're coming in at it. Because, I mean, when you start on a project, like when it's still in pre-alpha, it's going to be a lot of like testing the game, seeing like mission design, getting kind of like a feel for the balance of the multiplayer, seeing what game modes there are going to be. Or there are sometimes when you're coming in, you can be possibly onboarded onto a project that is like going to launch in 2 months, and you're going through all like the certification for making sure, like, oh hey, is there any kind of like offensive things in this game that would cause a geopolitical issue? Yes, well then we gotta get a new build because this can't launch. So it really depends on where you coming in, and so it really is kind of a mixed bag of what to expect for when you're actually testing.
Okay, so for Age of Empires 4 that you did, what path were you on working on that? Were you just one of the guys that just tested a building, or did you test, a couple buildings for a certain age or a certain faction almost?
So like more so like we have not really that kind of the focus to it. Like the more focus was broken down into 4 different areas. You had your single player, you had the multiplayer, you had the people that were doing playtests, which is essentially more multiplayer, but it was more on exploits. And then you have the AI, and the AI also works with like multiplayer and campaign. And I actually, through the course of the development of the game, was essentially doing everything until we actually were able to get more focused into our other areas of like, all right, these guys will focus multiplayer, these guys focus campaign. And then as we ramped up, we had, all right, now we can have like this AI team, and they focus on just an AI, and these guys over here, they'll do playtests, and they just find whatever you can do with all kinds of crazy exploits in multiplayer.
Okay, nice. So and that's essentially what you did as the bulk for your 3 years of being on the project?
So for me, I started in multiplayer and then moved off into single player. But I mean, sometimes you have days where it's like, oh, hey, you got to get some games in to make sure we got the coverage for it. So, and then everyone is on hands to get into game or get into multiplayer games.
Okay, cool. That sounds interesting. Is this exactly what you thought it would be when you joined?
Oh, no. So, like I said, it's not like Grandma's Boy, so there's a lot of, actual, like, hey, this is the test. Like, here's these tasks that we need to check out. And it's like, all right, so you go through it, and then you have to feel like have to be able to be comfortable to provide feedback. So you can't just go through like a mission and like, oh yeah, like I complete all the objectives, everything works, but you have to have your voice in your back and go, yeah, but was it fun? Because if the answer is no, you really have to provide feedback of like, hey man, this mission is an absolute chore. I mean, on one of the games I worked on, I actually said, like, as like a small novel to my area owner, I was like, hey, every time we have to do this run, I do this mission first. Not because I enjoy it, but because I physically do not like playing this mission. I want it in my background. I don't want it ever in my front. I always want that behind me. I want it done. And they changed that mission to be more suitable later. So I was like, So your feedback does actually help, but sometimes, depending on the project, you can give that feedback and they're like, yeah, cool, but we're not going to digest it. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'll just keep bugs and then...
Do you find yourself getting that Stonewall response more than you are getting that feedback where they do switch it later on?
It really depends on like where you are with the project and where you are, like where you are at the project. Because I remember there was one point where I was like, oh, hey, let's get feedback to see if this is fun. And then my boss was like, Randall, the game launched in 3 months. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they can't do too many changes at this point now, can they? So if you're coming in like when the game launches pretty soon, like, well, tough luck. Should really ask those questions a lot sooner.
Yeah. So you just gotta have to make do with it, and maybe that feedback will be like a patch later on.
Right.
Okay. And how long have you been working with this company? Have you been doing just Age of Empires in this whole time, or are you able to talk about any of the other games that you've been on?
So I have worked on other projects, and one of which was just recently announced, which was the Halo Infinite. But to be like full disclosure, I was on it for 2 days because we have a in the before times, before the virus of undenounced origin, we used to share people out to other projects, and the whole point was to like see if you can pick up processes that one team uses and then bring them back to your team. Like, oh, hey, these guys did this, and it was really effective, and so you could take that back and take it to your team to see if it benefits you there. And I was on the team for Infinite for 2 days, and it was interesting. And then I was back onto my project, but I also helped launch the Crackdown 3, which was interesting, to say the least. And
Game of the year.
It released. It released. And I also helped out with Grounded, the Obsidian kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids simulator.
That's cool. My nephew's actually playing that right now. He's trying to get me to play it.
It was a lot of fun, and I remember when they did like the update trailer where it's like we added the feature to sit, And I remember when we were testing that, because you could make the chairs, and we're like, man, it'd be real cool if you could actually sit in these chairs, and they actually added that feature later.
That's still really cool to know, like, whether you're doing it as a joke or, you know, a legit piece of feedback. When you see it happen, that's got to be like a cool feeling to have, where it's like, I helped did that, you know, almost like a sense of pride that you have in that.
Yeah, I think what's also fun is when you see the bugs that you find get fixed. It's just because sometimes they're just, oh man, we can't launch with that. And I had one that I just absolutely adore, and it was just essentially this one unit would have its attack and range every time you produced it. And this was super early, and the mission was pretty much just destroy this one building. And if you just kept making this one unit, you would make it to the point where it would have over 1 million damage. And from your starting point, you could just attack the ground and destroy that one building. So you'd be like halfway across the map and just and the mission over. And like, oh, cool. That's one of my favorites. I love that
awesome.
bug.
That's cool. So, how, for anybody who's listening, how would one, you know, start to want to, you know, get a job and do the games industry on this side of the fence, like what you're doing?
So, the way I did it was getting recommended by one of our friends that worked there. But also heard people have been referred from either, or they found a job listing on LinkedIn, or there's a lot of referrals actually that have happened now that I think about it. I think also once you are kind of in the industry, you get more kind of, you know, notice of where you can find other postings, because a lot of people came over from EA. I know that one of the guys I work with is from EA, and there's a lot of people from EA, and I think the best way to find it would just be to, like, you know, well, now you know one, which is Experienced Manpower, and we're pretty cool, pretty chill. I will say though, we do make minimum wage, so if you wanted to, you know, make a living off of it, well, this is entry level, so aim to learn more about the tree and then continue moving up, but don't become complacent where you are.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, that's cool. So I appreciate you, you know, looking at that, or, you know, speaking about it. So I know a lot of the jokes that I said since you started working in this spot was, you know, how's the new Halo game coming along? And this was before they even announced Halo Infinite, you know? So it's funny that, you know, once the multiplayer came out and I downloaded it, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, I worked on that. And I was like, I fucking knew it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I always said it, and it makes me laugh every time. You're like, well, it was only for 2 days. I'm like, yeah, but you still did it, and I still knew it. So, you know, which is funny because I was talking to Mary about it, where I was like, yeah, I'm going to have Randall on, and I'm going to do this thing where I was going to ask you about Halo Infinite, because that's what I do, because, you know, I'm kind of an asshole that way. And then you were just like, oh yeah, I worked on it for 2 days. I was like, well, shit, he just kind of took that away. So now I got to think of like another game that they're working on. So I do have just one more question about this, and then we can move on, is, you know, how's Fable coming along?
Okay, so that's upcoming, and I can't talk about it. So, I mean, I don't even. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
that's something I can talk about. It's so.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, man. So aside from that, you know, that's our day job. That's your day job. I know that you've been working. You know, you're aspiring to get a novel out.
Yep, I have.
Is that something that you're able to talk about at all?
Yeah.
And, you know, just briefly, or, you know, anything like that?
Yeah, so I have my sci-fi novel, which is technically done. I'm just going back through and making it so it's from the viewpoint of like two main characters and not just like, oh, it's from Randall's perspective, now it's from Annie's perspective, now it's from Mary's perspective, now it's from John's perspective, now it's from Nate's perspective. It's like, all right, let's rein this in a bit. So now it's just from my main character's perspective and the secondary main character's perspective with two other, actually it's three, but I swear it's a lot more concise going through it now instead of just like going from chapter having 5 people's point of view. Now it's just one chapter, one person's point of view.
Okay, cool. So you're definitely, essentially doing the, just tightening it up, really, pressing it to turn that coal into a diamond, essentially. That's essentially what you're doing when you go through. It's like you go through it and you're tempering it, right? Yep. Over and over, which is essentially what every draft is. So how is your writing process? What is the mindset that you find yourself getting into, to sit down and write?
Well, I'll be honest, it's gotten a lot harder for my book because the book started after I got out of high school, so it's been a project I've been working on for over 10 years, and I really want to avoid being Donald Sutherland from Animal House, where I just like, yeah, I've been working on my book for 10 years. Oh, it must be really good. It's a piece of shit. I really want to avoid that. But it's just, the hard part comes from it. When I was in high school, I, just made it so I had people I knew were the characters. So I didn't come up with anyone original. I mean, the story is original, but all the characters are just people I know.
Right.
And now going back through it and changing the names and like mixing in some original characters, it feels somewhat stagnant. Like I can still write the story. It's just like, would they actually say that? I don't know. I don't know the person anymore. But if I go to like one of my other stories where I have all original characters, the ideas flow out so much faster. And one key example of that would be my comic that I actually now have an artist for, which literally, I guess the best example that I can say that relates to you is where I was talking about, I think, Broforce, and I was like, I'm surprised you haven't done a Broforce theme for a story, and then, like, I was like, I haven't, and then I put Broforce and zombies together, and I made a 3-episode arc for my comic, just Broforce and zombies. And alright, I know what happens.
Okay, so neat. So you're essentially, like, I guess from your novel, you found a writing, like a way to write, a path that you can write this novel, and that is translating over into your comic book. So, like, the original characters are allowing you to pump out the material a lot quicker.
It just flows a whole lot better when it's characters that came from you.
Right.
For me, anyway.
I mean, that makes sense because you have to like think about them, and it's instead of basing off of somebody who that has these quirks, you get to create something that almost fits the story.
Yeah. I will say, though, it is pretty funny when I write stuff for your story and you're like, this character sounds like Harley Quinn. And it's like, how am I doing that? I don't read Harley Quinn. Like, how do I keep doing this?
Well, I mean, there's other venues for Harley Quinn to come out. You have any sort of the Batman animated series. You have the Harley Quinn show or any of the movies that they've been in or that she's been in. So, like Suicide Squad. So that could have been subconsciously in your brain.
Yeah,
so when are you expecting to get your book out? Or do you have a date for that at all, or a projected date?
I don't. Because right now I have my friend is also helping me edit it, and so she's going back through and is having about a comments. You're missing a word. You're missing a word, and I just look at the sentence and like, damn it! Like every time I say the sentence in my head, and then when I write it out, and then I go back to it, it's like, how did I miss 4 words? Where'd those words go? I said them when I said the sentence, but then I didn't write them out. So I would still say there's these. Oh, yeah.
Uh, do you use like any sort of program like Grammarly or anything like that would help you write that?
For whatever reason, like when I attempted to use Grammarly before, it was like, I don't work with Google Documents. And I was like, well, that's where I write everything now.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of
Okay.
a big ol'. Though it has been a little bit easier now that I get like that little blue, like, hey, you're missing something there. Like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So about this comic book, tell us about this comic that you're working on.
So the comic is the kind of my take on weird science, you know. So as you know me, I've infamously single for, I don't know, like I guess now it's like 6 years. But so this is just kind of like one of those live vicariously through the character in the comic, and essentially the character has his dream girl who happens to be a fox demon, but she's not really a demon, and it just the misadventures he goes on dating a demon, ranging from, you know, going to space to fighting giant bugs, having Power Ranger-esque encounters with monsters, or just kind of like evil Power Rangers, going out into outer space, getting sucked into a video game world, becoming superheroes. All kinds of things will happen in the Foxy Misadventures. It's just my little fun rom-com action adventure. It's 18
Neat.
plus.
Cool. All right. Where can people find this now, or is it coming out in comic form, like a comic book, or is
So
it
I have it
like a
on.
webcomic?
Yeah, I have it as a webcomic right now, in which it is. You can see some of the artwork that you and others have done on Facebook, and I believe I also have it on Instagram. But the comic, as it comes out, as of right now, I have a few anthology comics. And next year, hopefully in January, maybe February, I'll have the first issue out, and those will be on my Patreon. And pretty much my Patreon subscribers will be the ones that can see the Foxy Misadventures first and foremost.
Awesome. So what's the Patreon? Do you have the Patreon up now?
It's pretty much my name at Patreon.
So Randal at patreon.com.
Oh, Randal Homberg, I believe. Tell me things.
All right, cool. All right, Randal. So let's move on. We can go ahead and get into what you've been playing. What is it that you've been playing recently?
I recently just finished the Eidos Montreal Guardians of the Galaxy game, and I thoroughly enjoy that game a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like I don't quite remember like what it was with it. Like I think you were saying like an origin story, but it's not really an origin story because the Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the Guardians have been on 13 missions. It's kind of like, you know, an Elseworld story, and I just adore it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think what I had a gripe with for the game was it looked too much like the Avengers. Now I know that they do like their own IP. I wasn't a fan. And of like the character design, want to spend some time in it, even if you don't beat them. And Guardians just didn't do anything to reach that list.
Yeah, I feel that.
Your voice echoes what I hear on other podcasts that I listen to, that people are actually enjoying it, with a couple gripes here and there. But overall, they say it's a game that's worth checking out.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a lot of fun, and I think part of that comes from the fact that you have these Mass Effect like decision moments, and those moments can actually reflect moments in the story, whether like there's a scene where you have like this giant hallway of enemies, yeah, and if you make the wrong decisions, you'll just get like these Nova Corps bombers to blow them out of the way, and you can easily get to the end of the other end of this corridor. But if you have the right decision, one of the people you met along the way comes in, and you get to like see the pan out, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, what do we do now?" And they're helped by that character, and they're like, "Oh, hey!" And so then that character will then be at the end when everyone's doing like the hero march. And So when I was watching Maximilian Dude play it, he was essentially like saying the game was 9 out of 10, and he was playing it without the licensed music because of how Twitch is just hammering people with the cease and desist for licensed music. So they have a setting in the game to turn it off, so they have all non-licensed music present. And he was like, I don't even have music, and this is 10 out of 10.
That's neat that they have a streamer safe, feature in the game. Cool. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think I'll pick it up, but it's nice to know that, you're kind of in the same pool as everybody else, where they're enjoying it, and they are thankful that they actually picked it up, because it had a rough start a little bit at the beginning, but I think as the previews started coming out and the hands-on started happening, people were starting to really like it, and then the word of mouth is starting to spread. So
yeah, the game is a lot of like. I will admit though, like Star-Lord's gameplay is just run dash shoot, but also tell the Guardians to use their abilities. So it's not like groundbreaking, like awesome combat. You're like, oh cool, I'm in another battle, I get to blast people. But at a certain point, it does actually become like a lot more fun, because you're the guy you're pretty much the support lead. Like, you guys do this, and I'll take out their shields. But you can also do like the melee combat if you're near one of the other Guardians. Like, if you're by Drax, Star-Lord will do like this Shoryuken, and Drax will just jump up and drop kick him out of the sky, and this is awesome. And that's all I'll say about Guardians.
That's cool.
So,
all right.
So we can move on from that.
Nice. And you did that. You're playing this on the Xbox?
Yep, I am of the Xbox Series X.
And that's your primary console?
Yep, that is my primary.
Nice. So for your day job, did you work on the bugs for Guardians of the Galaxy?
It is not a first-party game, so no, I did not.
All right. Otherwise, you would have caught that voice acting and stuff that you're not a fan of for Star-Lord.
Well, no. So you're confusing Star-Lord from the game with Star-Lord for the series. So I started watching that on Disney Plus, because that voice is like. Sometimes he sounds like me, like really high pitched, and other times he's like, "All right, Guardians, we need to," like," and then it's like, "Could you be more of the latter, please?"
Gotcha. Okay.
The Star-Lord in the game is pitch perfect. Like, all Guardians in the game, pitch fucking perfect.
Cool. Awesome. So, is that your primary game that you're working on?
That was playing. Yeah. And then
I guess saying working on kind of goes into what you actually do.
Yeah,
I meant playing.
And then I don't know if we had time for me to tell you about my little mobile game story, because I thought it was funny. So you might get a kick out of it too. But
yeah, go ahead. What's the mobile game you're playing?
So the mobile on the daily is Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, And let me give you a little set the stage a bit here. So the developers for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes Capital Games, they do like road ahead blog posts and like, hey, this is what we did, here's what we're doing. And they'll usually end their blog post with kind of like a little well-worded phrase, which kind of gives you like a way to key in on what comes next. Like they had like, we have still like shiploads of content coming out, though granted we haven't seen. Anyway, I'm gonna skip that. The most recent like kind of tease is like you won't see the next bit of content coming. And it's like, oh, what are they talking about? Because like Book of Boba Fett is coming up. They also have these puzzles that they like, hey, solve this puzzle, and you get an actual like tease or like image of the next character. And they've done that for like, I believe, Commander Ahsoka Tano, Maul, both from Star Wars Clone Wars Season 7. And one day at work, this was Thursday last week, I saw that one of the community was content creators on YouTube, Arnold 101, had this video, and his thumbnail was a silhouette and solving the QR puzzle, upcoming character, and the silhouette was Darth Malgus. And I was like, oh man, I didn't expect Old Republic characters, but I couldn't watch a video at work. So when I got home, I started it up, and Arnold, like right off in the first 10 minutes of the video, is like, no guys, it's not Darth Malgus. Like I just picked a Star Wars character not in the game, made him a silhouette, and we went on our merry way. So I watched like the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes of this 2-hour video. The puzzle had not been solved. Fast forward to Friday, and the puzzle had been solved, and someone had a YouTube link on the Facebook group for Galaxy Heroes. I started up, and right off, there's another silhouette. I was like, holy fucking shit, is that Starkiller? And there's like a legend comes back, and it goes back to the silhouette, and the lightsaber sparks up, and it's Starkiller. And I was just like, holy fucking shit. Then they also put Starkiller on this little like unlock Starkiller with 4 other icons, and it had Dash Rendar and 3 mysteries, and it's like, get these 4 characters to unlock Starkiller. And it was just like, oh man, Legends characters. But I thought it was hilarious as, I was like, I didn't think you guys could just identify a character via silhouette, and I did it twice. Once with Darth Malgus, and then again with Starkiller. And I just can't wait to see what other kind of Legends characters we get. Hopefully, we get Kyle Katarn. And I know that you're dying for Darth Caius.
Ah, shit, man. Just give me Jason Solo.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be Cadus. Yeah. Like...
and they also said that they're not going to limit it to games. I think
awesome. Who knows?
Yeah. It was funny, though, because Arnold put out this video with, like, we know Dash Rendar is coming. Kyle Katarn has been in, like, 16 Star Wars games, so he's definitely coming. And then he also, he was, like, theorizing that Iden Versio and Cal Kestis were coming. Now, Battle 2, while not well received, is canon, and I believe Fallen Order itself is also canon. So I was like, Arnold, this event is for legacy characters. This video like this? And then his next video after that was like, oh, actually, oops, yeah, no. These guys are canon. Whoops.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, shit, let us know what other characters are... Let me know what other characters are going to be coming Legacy. If it's Jason Solo, the real son of Han Solo and Princess Leia, get that, whatever, Kylo Ren, the hell out of here with that shit. So you let me know, I'll jump into that game. So, but in the meantime, I just picked up the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch.
Yeah.
That Nintendo did. Now, I never actually had the original Game & Watch for The Legend of Zelda, or actually any Game & Watch. I even kind of missed out on the Mario one that just came out for the 35th anniversary, unfortunately. But this little contraption is such a neat toy, and that's what it is. It is a toy. It sits on my desk, and its little holder that it comes in. It's essentially the box that it comes in. When you slide it out, it has a Triforce on it and a little holder that the back like unfolds into like legs, so it can sit there. And like I just sit there and have it on its little timer. So you can check out, you can just search Legend of Zelda Game and Watch on YouTube to see the trailer and everything about it. But it'll sit there and it does the time. Like right now at the recording of this episode, 7:51, and it shows Link running around the world. He's currently in the fifth dungeon, right? And the time is on the thing on the screen itself, like in the room that he's in, and he's running around and he's collecting hearts, collecting coins, he's attacking the enemy, and he'll sit there and he fights in this room for a couple moments or a couple minutes. After it switches time and he kills enough enemies during that time, he moves on to the next room. And I've watched this game because it came out last Friday. I've watched this go from the very start when you get your sword to all the way to kill Ganon at the end. And it is so neat just to sit here while I'm at work watching this happen. The games, I'm currently going through the Legend of Zelda NES version on here. I've played the Game & Watch. It's I think it's called Vermin, featuring Link. So it has like a bunch of Octoroks going up, and Link has two hammers, and you just kind of move them over with the D-pad, and he kind of does like a whack-a-mole. So he does that for a little while, which is pretty neat. I can get up to about 145 before I mess it up. But I'm going through the Legend of Zelda. They have Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link on here, as well as the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And then they have a little timer, which is the Zelda 2 edition, where you're kind of going through and just attacking enemies during a timer session. So it's a cool little toy. It's definitely a novelty, but I really enjoy it. Now, obviously, because it's Zelda, so I had to buy the NES version again, to have in my collection. So I'm kind of playing on that one. I'll do that, during my breaks and stuff like that from work. And then when I'm not playing that, I'm still playing Forza Horizon 5. That game has its fucking teeth in me, man. Like, I'm so into it. I just jump in, and it doesn't matter if I'm racing or not. Like, I'll get a couple races in, but I can drive around all of Mexico, and I'm just taking out trees, and you're getting points for all kinds of stuff that you're doing. It's like the wrecking ball bonus, where you're just breaking everything around you. I just unlocked the Warthog from Halo in there, which is a pretty cool off-road vehicle, so like I'll do a couple races in that, and then when I'm not in the races, I'll just jump the dunes, jump hills, and everything like that in Forza, which is on Game Pass. And I know I talked a little bit about it last episode, but if you haven't played it yet, download it and try it out. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're out a couple gigs of hard drive and a couple hours of your playtime, but it's fun. It's relaxing, but also it drives that competitive, desire within me. So
drives the competitive desire.
Yeah, you got it right. So it's really cool, man. And I know I only have like a couple people on my friends list that are playing it. So because every time I collect these little experience boards, they look like little. There's signs left all over the place, and you hit them for different points of experience, and then there's fast travel ones. So if you hit those, it'll help you lower your fast travel points that you have to spend when you want to go around the map, because they're really pushing you to drive everywhere, which is pretty neat. You get a feel for different cars, and I'm not a big car person, so I spend my points to tune my car, right? So like if I'm doing a race, you're getting a stock model of these cars, but you can spend some of your cash, your currency that's in the game, and you can use other people's. You can download and install other people's tuning for the cars. So like it'll help you, take off faster. It'll help you, accelerate overall it'll help you, stay speed or stay traction on the road or off road or anything like that, which is really cool for me because I'm terrible at that. Like, I don't know what the hell, and like it's minute details, which means shit to me, but to these people that are out there, it means a lot. Where it's like, I'm gonna do 7.6 psi on the right tire or the right side of the car, and then I'm going to do 8.3 on the left side of the car because I want it to be able to drift in a certain way. I have no fucking idea what that is. I just look at the base stats that it gives me, and it's like, here's where you're at, here's where you can go, and I'll download and do that, and I'm having a blast with that. It is really cool because there are drivatars, what they call drivatars on there, so it takes people from your friends list and it tosses them in your car. So Dan's not here, but I see Dan's gamer tag all over the place when I'm in races and stuff like that. And I see your gamer tag on there. And it's kind of cool. It's like, I'm not actually racing against you guys, but I take it personal when you guys pass me in the races. So it's really cool. And I guess from what I've read, they adjust to how a person drives if they have the game. So if you were to download the game and you play, depending on how you do it, it will keep that in the Horizon database essentially, and then it'll put it into my game. So it kind of changes it up. So while I'm still racing against your drivatar, I'm actually racing against you in a way. So
yeah, you gotta love those cloud saves,
dude. It's really neat. Like I've played it every night since it came out. Like, I even tried out the Halo multiplayer a little bit, but I'll talk more about that when Dan's here because I've only played it for maybe like an hour or two, and I just jumped right back into Forza. So we'll get back into that. But if you haven't downloaded it, download it off of Game Pass, and give it a shot. So
Game Pass is great.
It actually is. My main console is the PlayStation, but you can't deny how awesome Game Pass is for Xbox. So
yeah,
Christmas is coming up, so I'm not allowed to be buying things for myself. But Forza is free, so I can download it and jump in and be part of the conversation and be part of what's happening right now. So it feels good to be able to do that, as well as just jump in and race. So after we're done recording, I'm going to get a couple races in for sure.
Nice.
So, but that's enough about games, right? We're going to move on. We're going to be jumping into the, the screen time segment. I know that we've been watching a couple things. Did you watch Under the Helmet, the Legacy of Boba Fett?
Haven't yet. No, for whatever reason, I saw the trailers for it, and I was like, cool, but for whatever reason, those documentaries, I have to be in the right mood for it. I don't really seek them out.
Makes sense.
I mean, when you had me look at the movies that made us, I was like, oh, RoboCop, I'll watch this, but for whatever reason, I don't really I was not really that interested to see Jeremy Bullock underneath the helmet. I was like, I can wait.
So I gave it a shot. It's only 23 minutes. I thought it was going to be an hour or something. It's very short. So that
surprises me.
So it's not just about Jeremy Bullock. It's essentially about the creation of Boba Fett and everybody who's played him in a sense. And when they designed Boba Fett, they designed him to be a stormtrooper. Or a higher class of stormtrooper, and then because of cost, they decided, let's not make him a stormtrooper because we won't be able to afford this next movie. However, let's make him a single character that is just a badass, and how are we going to get him out? And so they did the which everybody knows, the Christmas special, and that was his first TV appearance, and then they showcased him during a small town parade with Darth Vader, and he was just as popular for that, and this character nobody knew who the hell this character was, but they enjoyed his presence. And it's just awesome how you went from this character who had maybe 3 minutes of screen time, 7 minutes of screen time, 4 lines of dialogue or whatever it was. I forget the exact numbers, but now we're going into the Book of Boba Fett, which is going to be coming out next month, and we get to see this character just be more fleshed out overall, and just be the badass we all saw him. Yeah, exactly. So I check it out, man. It's cool because I know you're a big Boba Fett fan. You're a fan of Star Wars, but Boba Fett is your guy, and it's really kind of cool to see. They had was it Steve Sansweet on there? And he was kind of talking about the different collectibles Boba Fett had and stuff like that. So
I know it
was neat.
I think I was watching an episode of Dead Meat, and as Dead Meat has gone on for the years, James A. Janice, the host, does more background information on people that are in the movies, and I think it's one of the it's. I'm gonna say the original My Bloody Valentine, knowing I'm probably wrong, but one of the actors in the movie was he portrayed Boba Fett in one of the scenes. So in one of those days where Jeremy Bulloch was out, but they had the costume, and this guy fit in the costume. So oh hey, just put the costume on and then be in the scene. And he was this guy was Boba, or maybe he was the guy that was at the parade. Anyway, one of the actors who was in the Boba Fett armor was actually in a horror movie. And I believe it's one of the OG Canadian horror movies. And I'm saying My Bloody Valentine. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
I mean, it's possible. They did showcase, and they did tell that story where somebody was just like, "Hey, you fix." I guess he was doing a dress rehearsal to make sure all the pieces fit on, and then they're like, "Hey, we need to do the parade. Jump in, and we'll walk through that," which is cool to know. The Darth Vader and the Boba Fett outfit that they used in the parade was the actual movie versions.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they brought that offset so they could walk. So everybody who was there saw these characters and took pictures with it and touched it. That was from the movie. So I thought that was really neat. And even George Lucas, who was on there, was like, you can't do that anymore now. You know what I mean? Even Star Wars or otherwise. So that was pretty cool. So it was enjoyable, but I did wish that it was a little bit longer. That was my only critique on it. But you said you were I see that you were watching Cowboy Bebop a little bit. You want to talk about that just briefly before we jump into the Disney Day?
Yeah. So I've actually never seen Cowboy Bebop until recently. It was just really funny for me because Steve Bloom is one of my favorite voice actors of all time. So it's is Wolverine coming out? Is Steve Bloom? It is. All right, let's watch it. So now that Netflix has the original Cowboy Bebop anime, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna finally watch this. And I've been watching an episode a day, and I think episode 7 is I've seen the ending to that. But I'm on episode 20. I'm almost done. I'm episode 22 right now, and I've seen the ending of the movie. So I've seen the ending bits of the movie and that one episode. But now, actually going through the series, I don't know what it is about this noir, future dystopian kind of show that it's just it feels refreshing in a sense to see people just acting cruel and evil and just because in the first 10 episodes pretty much there's at least one person that dies in the first 10 episodes. It's oh Jesus, wow, okay, it's Game of Thrones over here. There's always someone dying. And I've watched stuff Demon Slayer and Goblin Slayer, and that's dark, but it doesn't feel as real as Cowboy Bebop does, and I'm really glad I'm actually getting around to watching it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good series, and I do see why it's considered one of the best anime, or it reaches that list of the best anime series that's out there.
I did think it was funny though because I've seen it numerous times on Watch Mojo list and oh yeah man, you gotta watch the dub. Dub is superior than the subtitled. But that first episode, there's that one gal, and it's is she Mexican? or is she Russian? I can't tell what her accent is, and my boss is like, "Oh yeah, dude, like it's just a bad dub." And it's like a bad dub and the superior dub. Okay.
Well, not all characters. I mean, you can overall it could be superior, but not everybody can, hit home runs. So, I don't know. It's awesome. You'll have to let me know exactly, how it ends, what you think of it overall. Once
I can't let you know how it ends. We're not playing. We're playing delete my friend, or delete that friend. Every day, all year.
So let me know how you think. How you think about. What you think about it when it ends. You don't have to tell me that ends or details like that. I actually just bought that not too long ago on Blu-ray. So I'm gonna have Mary watch it after we get through our mountain of shows that we're watching right now. So that's on the list, as well as the original Full Metal Alchemist, and then we'll see how she feels about Brotherhood.
Well, I mean. You probably go through Brotherhood first, since that's the actual stuff.
Yeah, that's too long. The other one is the one that I really like as well, so that we can get through that easier. It's only 53 episodes for two seasons.
Only 53 episodes.
Hey, that's just 2 seasons. That's not bad.
Oh, and then real quick, because it just came into my mind. I actually started watching Comey Can't Communicate on Netflix. So it's one of the new anime adaptations that they're doing, but it's weekly, so it's not bingeable. But I am actually really enjoying that right now. The animation is fantastic, and it actually really makes me want to go back and watch False Love. I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but Charadara, and then Love Shanibi and Other Delusions. Like, for whatever reason, like when I watch Comey Can't Communicate, I want to watch those 3 other shows, but it's like, why? Those shows are so good, and I've already watched them. I need to watch something new. But at the same time, let's go back and watch False Love.
You can always check out Arcane, that League of Legends show. People are really digging that one.
I do want to watch that one, but I'm not that one. I'm kind of wait to binge it.
Yeah,
I'm just not down with
a couple more episodes before it's out, because they were doing that weekly as well.
Yeah, I'm just I'm not down the fact that they're changing it up to go oh, now we're gonna do weekly episodes, and you guys build your house. I'm binging this stuff now. You're going to Disney Plus. Stop it, please.
Right. All right, so let's go ahead and get moving on here to the Disney Day information that happened last Friday. Disney does their annual, whatever, just like everybody else, and they dump so much shit on us because they own so much shit. We don't have to go through all of it, of course. I mean, there's a bunch of it that I'm not really interested as far as the Disney aspect of it directly. I will say that there's a couple things that did pop out to me that I thought was interesting that I'll check out, which was the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, what they're calling a comeback original movie and not necessarily a reboot. And that's going to be featuring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, who I thoroughly enjoy both. So I'll check that out at least. We did get a first look at Hocus Pocus 2 in the form of the 3 Sanderson sisters, or Sanderson sister witches, which I have no fucking idea why they're bringing them back after the first one kind of wrapped up their story. So we'll see how that goes. I'm skeptical hippo is skeptical when it comes to that one. We did get, live action Pinocchio will be coming out fall of 2022. The live action Disney movies are kind of hit and miss. And then they are doing another documentary for Willow, which will be done by Warwick Davis, who we all know from either Willow or Star Wars, as he was Wicket from Return of the Jedi.
Or the Leprechaun series, where he is mostly... That
was him in the Leprechaun series?
Yep.
Holy shit.
I think the only one that he isn't... There's only 2 where he's not the Leprechaun, and that's with the one with like the WWE dude, which is a terrible movie, by the way. And I think there's another recent reboot, and he's not in that one.
I mean, honestly, I only watched the first one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Warwick Davis did like Leprechaun in the Hood and the Hood 2 and in space, 1, 2, and 3.
Every
Las Vegas,
villain goes to space.
Yep.
Well, speaking of villains in space, then, so Disney announced that they are going to be doing a Predator prequel TV or movie coming to Hulu.
Hey man,
a TV show.
If it's anything to do with Greyback, 1615 or is it 16? Like, I'm all for it.
Yeah, we'll see exactly who it is because it's set 300 years in the past. So depending on how long Predators are, stick around, I don't know but 300 years. I mean, I don't know, and it could be. So, all that the brief plot outline stated was that the series or the movie is going to be set in the world of the Comanche Nation, 300 years ago. The action thriller is going to follow the character Nehru, the skilled warrior who is protecting her tribe against a highly evolved alien predator. So, they did show, I mean, it's being directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did The Boys, as well as 10 Cloverfield Lane. But they did show off a couple images. They showed off the logo, which it just says Prey, and it looks like the Predator, font with, almost like rock. I mean, it looks like caveman almost. So it kind of sets the tone.
Weapons that the Comanches would use.
Yeah, and then it shows a picture of her in like a. It doesn't look like a sandstorm. It looks like an ash fog almost, and she's holding a bow and arrow. And then behind her stands the Predator in the fog, and he has like his targeting system lit up, so you can see like the little red light on his helmet.
Yeah, the battle mask.
Yeah. So that's all that we have for the first look for Prey, but I am interested. I didn't get to see the last Predator movie.
Oh, I mean, I did
get the collection. Yeah, the comedy. I did get the collection for my birthday, so I'm gonna give it a watch. I'm gonna do like a watch through of all 4 of them. I'll probably do it after the Alien watch through that Dan and I have planned.
We'll say like the Predator does have a fun comedy bit. Like, well, it's not a bit. It is, but it's not like like it's not a reference to another Predator movie because they do that so often in the Predator. But there is one comedy bit, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I thought it was hilarious. But because I said Greyback, if you were curious who that was, that's the Predator in Predator 2 that after Donald Glover's character kills the city hunter, the Greyback gives him the pistol and says, "Take it." And there is a prequel comic about Greyback that I would love to see made into a live-action movie.
Now I'm a little rusty for my Predator lore, but is he one of the elders?
Yeah, so Greyback, like I said before, like the pistol he gives him, it's got a timestamp on it, and it's like either 1615 or 1516. It's old, but like Greyback has been around, that 500, or I guess it would be 400-year span, and Greyback has a little skull that he's holding on that he's kind of rubbing against, but in his other hand he had a sword, and that sword is actually a first cavalry sword from people that fought the Comanches, or in that 1800s, late 1700s time frame. So that's the sword that Greyback has.
Cool. Well, that'll be cool if that is him then.
Yeah, I would love it if it's Greyback. Greyback is.
Who knows? Who knows, man? You might get your wish.
Well, then I guess we would
been,
know what happens because Greyback's going to be in Predator 2. So.
Right. So we don't know if the film will be getting a theatrical release, but being Hulu, I doubt that we will. But it should be coming out summer of 2022.
Cool.
So that's actually not too long. The next couple things that they announced is they kind of did like weird, like what, I don't know what they want to say. So it's like a reveals for Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to check that out? It's actually like the concept art.
Yeah. So some people were looking at it, and I don't want to give it any credit, but they had like the second sister with what looks like a prototype of the shuttle that Krennic has in Rogue One. But I mean, depending on when the takes place, if it's like within, or if it's, I think it's 10 years in, I could be wrong. It's like recent, but Trilla should be dead. So that's the sister, like 5 years, because Cal Kestis' story is 5 years after Order 66, and she dies in the events of Fallen Order. So, I mean, then again, in the concept art for the what was the last episode, Mandalorian Season 2, because they had Luke show up, but in the concept art, it was actually Plo Koon. So it's probably
Yeah, that's true. And it could be a different sister.
They've announced that the guy who plays Han in the Fast and the Furious movies is going to play the fourth brother. Who's another?
We'll see how that goes. I mean, well, I'm cautiously optimistic on this one. I'm in. I am going to watch it just to watch it because I am a fan of Ewan McGregor and I really loved his portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yep. And I know that they're bringing back a number of characters to the series. I know that they're bringing Hayden Christensen back to reprise his role as Darth Vader. So whether we see them actually do a lightsaber battle or not, I would think we do at the end, maybe, where they give us that Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader battle that we wanted from Episode 4, before they were decrepit old men, So,
only one of them is old.
I mean, technically they're both old. One of them is like an old man. The other one, I don't want to say old because we're getting up there, but he was in his 40s and, kind of stale being in a robotic suit. So
yeah, but at the same time, look at Count Dooku and look at Liam Neeson, older than 40, still going at it.
That's true. We'll see.
So
we'll see.
With that duel, I just really hope it's like a Force vision.
Could be. Yeah.
And then he has because I don't want. Because I think if they actually fight, it would just take away from, like, I sense something I've not felt since. Because I feel like if you take away the 20-year gap from Mustafar and make it a 10-year gap, I mean, yeah, sure, in Star Wars, like, what? Jedi? It's like 30 years, those existed?
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
If you take 10 years away, it's going to...
It could, but if they would probably take the route that Obi-Wan's never or Vader's never said that hasn't felt that disturbance like that or that felt that presence since, and they never gave him when. Everyone assumed Mustafar. I haven't felt this presence since whatever, but it could be a lot sooner. Like I haven't felt this presence since. Whatever, 5 years ago, when he probably thought he killed Obi-Wan Kenobi, which could play into like when he did it on the Death Star, why he checked the robes to make sure he was still there.
That's true.
They have all kinds of ways to get around that, but I just hope that the writing's solid. I hope it's, done properly in the way that they're doing, or hopefully they do Boba Fett. I hope, done with what they did for most of Mandalorian. I think their TV shows are pretty solid, whereas their movies kind of faltered. And if you think about it, it's kind of like DC Comics, where their movies suck, but their animated, shows or animated movies are spot on. We'll see.
Well, I mean, they I mean, I guess I'm not really one to blow that horn of like, yeah, they're coming around, because I mean, I like the David Ayer Suicide Squad, even though it's not really his movie, but James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, I love that movie. Like, HBO Max, thank you so much. I watched the movie like 5 times because it was free. I love it. But like, if you listen to what people are talking about, the Injustice adaptation for the animated movie, that is bad. But since we want to talk about this Disney Day, we probably shouldn't delve too much into that.
Yeah, well, we can go into that later on for the DC stuff. So after the Obi-Wan Kenobi series teaser, they did give us first looks at She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and Miss Marvel.
Yep.
So if that was actually really cool, I'm looking forward. I mean, Moon Knight, I think it'll be a fun one, but because I don't know the character a whole lot, I'm not so much going to, he's not the top of my list, but I am going to watch it. I am interested in watching She-Hulk. I want to see what that's like, and Miss Marvel. And I know that they're from Miss Marvel, they're following the new Miss Marvel. So it's like the teenage girl that
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it was Kamala, but I couldn't remember. So they did show off. So they showed off some footage, but I actually haven't been able to see it, and I don't know if it's one of those things where they did a trailer or I just saw the screenshots. So you get to see the character running and who's playing Moon Knight, and you see him
Oscar
jumping
Isaac
over.
is Moon Knight. Yeah.
So Oscar Isaac from Star Wars is coming in to play Moon Knight.
Yep.
Which is going to look interesting. We'll see. I think he kind of plays off like a Deadpool-esque a little bit.
Well, what's odd with me is because I'm actually reading the Moon Knight current run from Marvel. If you want Moon Knight to be, just fighting crime and not so much dealing with like, is this really what's going on or is it not really what's going on? It's just his psyche splintering. Like I really enjoy like the injury with Moon Knight and the actual like fighting he does in it. It's just top notch. But what gets me is like that Moon Knight has, I think, it's schizophrenic where he has like the ultimate. No, he has dissociative identity disorder, and so he has like Mark Spector, his like the Prime identity. Then like there's the billionaire persona, there's the cab driver persona, there's one more that it's like human. Then there's Mr. Knight, which is like the white suit and the mask, which you can kind of see in the image where he's like got a suit on, he has the white glove on but no mask. And then there's Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And I think that from just the way that Isaac is playing like that meek role in the beginning before you hear like the more like confident voice where he's like beating someone to a pulp, I think the voice might be like from the taxi driver persona, because I don't see Mark Spector, a mercenary soldier, being meek and like, I don't know, and like, you're a mercenary. A little more backbone.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. For the screenshots that I saw, we did get a couple of screenshots for She-Hulk. Not a whole lot of information on that one. The screenshot we see is it looks like she's getting out of a limo or like an Escalade vehicle. She's wearing an evening gown, and you can see her leg and hands, so they're all green like the Hulk. We did see another screenshot where she's in like a testing facility, and you have Mark Ruffalo's Hulk / Bruce Banner persona standing there, like, so I'm assuming he's doing the test. Either helping her or trying to instill the Hulk in somebody else. Trying to make I guess people more like him because he's now a fused character of Bruce Banner and Hulk.
Yeah, I saw like the thing where it's actually like where they had the actual dialogue where he's like trying to tell her that it comes out with rage. And people were noting out the fact that he had his arm in a sling, and someone was saying that it takes place before Endgame, and it's like it clearly takes place after, from my point of view, because his arm is recovered, but it's still in the sling, so it's not fully recovered. Because I mean, he did the snap, so. And that's what like messed up his arm in the first place. But I mean, Hulk has like one of the best healing factors, so it's like, yeah, that should heal. I'm also just excited that
that's true. So,
I was just gonna say that I was excited that you actually get to see a quick glimpse of like She-Hulk in her actual like comic accurate outfit, where she's got her like legs and arms like fully exposed, like she's not. Modest.
So it's a purple jumpsuit?
It's the white and purple one, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. So I must have missed that trailer then. I'm going to check it out, but I think it's going to be interesting. It's one of those ones that when they announced, back in the day when they announced Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, just as logos, like this is the next movie set that we're going to be coming out with. I was very excited about those movies, and there's something that's telling me that She-Hulk is going to be a really good movie or a show. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's one of the ones that I want to check out. Plus, they're bringing other people back. Like I checked out the cast. They're bringing, and they've brought them back before in Shang-Chi, but they're bringing back Tim Roth, who played Abomination.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. Like, I know Disney doesn't like, or at least Marvel doesn't like Ed Norton's Hulk, but they've brought in so many characters from that movie. They continue with General Ross. They have Tim Roth as Abomination. He's showing up now in Shang-Chi, based on the trailer that I saw. I still haven't actually watched that movie yet, even though it's on Disney Plus. We're almost there. Like, we're getting ready to do like Ant-Man and Wasp, the 2 Avengers movies, and then we'll be able to jump into it. As a little tangent there, but it's cool that they're bringing him back. So he's clearly somebody that they liked playing this character that they're bringing back in there. They didn't recast them. They didn't recast General Ross. They've kept him in a couple of those movies, but we no word on Liv Tyler. On Betty's character. No word on
the leader.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool that they almost cherry picked Hulk a little bit for the MCU. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then we'll see about Miss Marvel.
One episode of She-Hulk where it's like defense attorney, and it's like Matthew Murdock, and it's Charlie Cox. Like, give it to me.
I want that. And they are talking about doing a recasting. Like, they're working on a Daredevil project. I hope they bring him back, because if Disney's paying attention, we want him back, and we want oh my god, what's his name?
John Barrowfell for Punisher?
Yes. No, not Punisher, no? Kingpin.
Oh, Wilson. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, thank you. So, we would like to see him come back as Kingpin. So him, you know what I mean? Bring him and Charlie Cox back, and that would be just fucking awesome. I would be on board immediately, because I thought those two characters really played well with each other in the Daredevil series, and they gave us what those characters were, like almost spot on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Someone posted a thing a while back where it was like, when Endgame had finished, or not Endgame, but Spider-Man No Way Home, when it had finished filming, and they had like the entire cast's like signatures on this poster, and someone pointed out that there was a signature that had a star on it, and they put it side by side by Charlie Cox's signature, and it's the same exact thing, and it's like, is Matthew Murdock in No Way Home? Like, holy shit.
I don't know. Okay, so let's move on to No Way Home then. So they just dropped a trailer a couple days ago, right?
Yes.
And this trailer is everything that a wet dream for nerds could be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Seriously. They showed off so much. Whereas, like in the first trailer, we got a bunch of teases. We saw Dr. Octopus come out, and we're like, okay, Alfred Molina, he's going to be in this movie, which is awesome. He did a good job as Dr. Octopus. Then they showcased a bunch of other characters. Now we're going to see Sandman from Spider-Man 3. We're going to see Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We're going to see
3. We're going to see because I think there's a thing where all 3 of them were there. So you get James Franco's Hobgoblin. You get Dane DeHaan, his Green Goblin, and you get Willem Dafoe. But let's be honest here, we're all here for Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, so we are getting William Dafoe for sure. I thought I saw, and I didn't get a chance to go back to the trailer because they did showcase another Goblin in the trailer, and he did look different. He wasn't wearing the suit that William Dafoe's character was wearing. So I can't, and I'm assuming it's going to be the Green Goblin from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And I'll say that based off of everything that's happened with James Franco, they're not going to bring him into this movie.
Yeah, probably not James Franco, but their interpretation of that
right.
James Franco.
So they could bring the other Green Goblin in from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies because they're bringing in Lizard and they're bringing in Electro.
Yeah, but I thought
we saw those.
I was weirded out because I'm like one of the dialogue in the trailer is like they all died by Spider-Man, but it's like I don't remember Lizard or Sandman dying from Spider-Man.
No, but who said that?
Doc Strange.
So if you think about who dies, and depending on which Spider-Man killed him, right? So if you look at like the Morbius trailer, if you've watched that, in one of the clips, you see Spider-Man's poster up on the wall and it says murderer on there. But if you zoom in on that one, if you freeze on that screen, it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It's the Spider-Man with the silver webbing. So, and that's where it says murderer on there. That Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, whether he killed them or not, their people died, right? Green Goblin died twice, right? James Franco's Spider-Man or Green Goblin died, correct? I can't remember.
Hobgoblin, yeah.
Then you had Dr. Octopus, he died. And then you had... Then you're left with Venom and Sandman in the third one as well. I don't think those two died, though.
No, Venom... There's the whole thing where like Peter gets all those rebar bars like to get the sound to separate Eddie from the symbiote, and then like I think Hobgoblin throws the bomb, but because like he's separated from it, like as the symbiote takes in the bomb, Eddie goes in after it, and they just kind of like implode, and Eddie's gone too.
So I guess they could say that he died, which would be why... Well, I guess it doesn't matter because the other ones are coming back. But I don't think we're going to see that Venom at all because we have Tom Hardy's Venom. So I don't think they want to get too much into the weeds with that, and we'll see. Because I know there's a whole this whole mess of the multiverse, which is the multiverse of madness, essentially, right? With No Way Home. We're going to see a lot of this crazy shit happening. But one of the things, so I did see that they did a Brazilian trailer for Spider-Man. And while Tom Holland's Spider-Man is fighting, and there's a scene where you see Sandman and not Green Goblin, Electro and the Lizard. They're jumping in, and apparently you get to see the Lizard get hit. He's hit by something invisible. So they clearly took something out of that trailer, which is not unheard of for Marvel because they did that with the Infinity Stones during those Avengers trailers, right? When we saw him with that, he should have only had 3, but he had all of them. So people are speculating that that's where Andrew Garfield comes into play, but I'm not sure if Andrew Garfield is going to be in here. He keeps saying he's not. He wasn't invited. He's not in here. And I get that like actors will do that because that's what they're supposed to say. But one person that we actually haven't heard from a lot, or at least I haven't, is Tobey Maguire. Right? Nobody's talked to that guy. So it could have been that Spider-Man that knocked out the lizard in that scene. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just hope that, because like initially when I thought it was going to be like Ock and Goblin and people talking about Electro, I was like, all right, we got 3 villains. Let's keep it at that. Now we also have more Green Goblins and Sandman. I'm like, okay, guys, let's make sure that we don't go Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2. Please, like, give us the proper runtime.
We're sitting at 6 villains, right? 2 goblins, a lizard, a Sandman, Electro, right? Dr. Octopus. So that's 6. And then for some reason I want to say that there's a 7th one in there.
But Ock might also go good as well too, because there's a scene where
that's true.
You see him getting shot by Electro's blast. So it'd be like, I mean, because he has the line, I will not die a monster, so maybe he goes good. And then maybe it'll give us a setup for like Superior Spider-Man.
Oh, maybe. I mean, that's kind of, we'll see how that plays out, right?
That's really reaching for the stars, but I love it.
Getting in the weeds a little bit on that one. There's something else. I'm not sure exactly what it is I was going to jump. I lost my train of thought on that one, but I'm very excited. I know that, like what you said, 3 becomes a crowd as far as Spider-Man villains, but I don't know, man. He's got Doctor Strange with him, and we could get other Spider-Men. Who knows? They could even play like a Miles Morales. Like there could be a Miles Morales that shows up. Almost like an Into the Spider-Verse type thing. So I wouldn't put it past them. And I think it's cool that they're bringing all these together to kind of implode them so they can do different stories. Who knows, man?
If they do Miles Morales, they should like just go full balls to the wall and legit just put the Miles from Into the Spider-Verse, like that art style. You don't change it, but you have that art style in live action. So he just is a sore thumb, but like that's because that's what he looks like in his universe. Just like actual Spider-Verse, how they had, the Ultimate Spider-Man from the.
So you want the cartoon to show up in the live action?
Yeah, because that's what essentially Peter Porker is. He's a cartoon that is in live action.
Yeah.
Like Ultimate Spider-Man.
That might be stretching it a little bit for me. I think that's where the ridiculousness starts to come into play.
It's just more CGI.
That's not always a good thing,
That's true.
Especially when people are like, you were just telling me about certain CGI that should have been done better.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but more Spider-Man information certainly coming up, especially with it coming out in December. So we'll be doing, we'll talk about it more coming up. They did state that, I don't want to get into too much of these, but they did officially announce an Agatha House of Harkness. So the villain from the WandaVision series will be having her own show, which that actually interests me more than WandaVision did. And my thoughts on WandaVision, so I won't get into it here. They are doing the Marvel Zombies animated series that was announced based off of the What If series. So we'll get to see more about that. We'll see. I don't know if Zombies seems like it doesn't take place in the actual timeline, so that one may be one that I skip, or if I do watch it, I don't know if I'll stick with it on that one.
I think they're really keeping that one around because of the tease at the end with Thanos and Wakanda or zombie Thanos with all the stones except for like Vision Stone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I don't really want zombies. Like I'll watch it, but I'm like, all right, here we go.
Right. So we did get a secret invasion. I mean, that we knew that was coming. We did talk a little bit about it a couple episodes back, where Samuel L. Jackson was wearing his shirt of Nick Fury being dusted And so he was talking about the Secret Invasion coming. Now we get to see him. He looks older. He's got the gray in his beard, and he's not wearing his patch, so you get to see his blind eye and all scratches that he got from the Captain Marvel movie. We did get to see a handful of logos that they dumped on us. So we're going to be Marvel Zombies. It looks just like the comic one. We have Secret Invasion, Agatha, House of Darkness. I Am Groot, which I don't care about, honestly. I am looking forward to Echo. I actually like that character. And it was cool that, when I read the book leading into the 2018 Spider-Man game, she was the main or one of the main villains or antagonists for that book. So she's a pretty cool character. I like her. Ironheart, I think, is going to be a good show. I'm excited to see how they're going to push forward with the Iron Man persona and, how they're going to treat Ironheart. Which will be cool. I kind of wonder
if they'll do her intro, because I think I first saw her in what was it? Secret War, when Doom became a god and made Battleworld, and her suit was pretty much like a Gundam, just human size. And then Tony saw that she had potential, and after he was killed by Carol in Civil War II, he gave her his invincible Iron Man suit. So I'm kind of what's the setup here?
Right.
I want to know more about it, because I don't think Riri is a bad character. I just kind of there's a point in time where I lost my job at GameStop and I couldn't keep up with my comics, and Ironheart was one of the ones that I lost track of, and then a whole bunch of stuff changed when I got back to it. It's she always now when I read her in the Champions, she always seems like she's too good to be around the Champions, and I don't like that persona around people. It's leave.
Well, I mean, they might go that route if they want to fill in the Tony Stark hole. You know what I mean? That they left. So you're giving this now incredibly smart woman of color the forefront to be the new Iron Man, essentially. Yeah. Right. And of course, she's going to have that sort of cockiness, I'm better than you type attitude, because that's what we're going to need in these next set of movies. Because nobody's really filling that in anymore. You know what I mean? We have everybody starting to go. Yeah, everybody's starting to go the comedic route, right? Look at Thor. He started off serious with his first two movies. He found his traction in Ragnarok with the comedy / action. And then he's going to continue that in with Love and Thunder. We need somebody to fill in a Tony Stark. And we're going to be getting that with Ironheart. Much like we're getting, Falcon as Captain America. And we saw that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, who's going to be filling in for Steve. You know what I mean? Becoming that Steve Rogers. He's not being Steve Rogers. He's going to be his own character. But he has the attitude that would fit with a Steve Rogers Captain America. So it'll be cool to see these two, move forward into the leadership roles that, are now in a void, essentially after Avengers Endgame.
Don't forget about the What If Season 2.
Yeah, but so I didn't actually see if that was announced at Disney Day, because I did see that they were doing that. So I may have missed that one.
So with the Disney Day, but I mean, it could have been someone just compiled everything. It's just, if I get more Captain Carter, dude, I'm gonna be in trouble, because they're gonna make more pop figures for it, and I'm like, all right, give it to me.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I did enjoy a number of episodes for What If. So it'll be neat to see what they do with season 2, especially after they kind of, wiped out a couple characters and we saw a couple worlds. Where are you gonna go from here? So that'll be neat.
I just hope they really actually go balls to the wall with it. What if Doctor Strange actually started the Defenders at this point, just bringing the actual Netflix cast, maybe leave out some of the lesser appreciated ones, and then have them recast. Or what if Moon Knight helped Spider-Man in Homecoming? Who are you? A Moon Knight. Just like
That's true. I mean, with all these new characters, you're bringing in a lot of new talent that's going to be able to do those episodes.
Especially like just to like build hype for those characters, because I mean, it took a long time for us to get WandaVision. I remember them like, oh hey, now we're gonna do She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, and I was just sitting there like, could you guys release WandaVision before you start announcing more?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. As much as we really enjoyed the last 10 years or so of the MCU, are we going to start really feeling the fatigue of the superhero genre again? With Marvel doing as much as they can and DC trying to do their thing. We'll see. So, but I mean, the shows, what they've been doing so far, I've really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to doing Hawkeye coming up next, at the end of this month. You know what I mean? So we have a lot, and they're not bad. I really like them. There are certain series that I didn't like, but that's not because they were bad. You know what I mean? WandaVision, I hated the first 3 or 4 episodes. I wasn't a fan of that, how they did it, but I really enjoyed what they did outside once they got past that whole retro show style, which is why I'm kind of looking forward to Agatha House of Harkness. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not that was bad. I just wasn't a fan of it. Now, one of the things I did like that they brought up was the X-Men 97 animated series. That's going to be fucking dope, man, because it's picking up after the original series ended, and they're bringing it back a lot of the voice actors.
Excellent. Are we going to find Morph? Morph.
Right? There's all that. Man. Yeah, I'm excited. I hope oh my God, man. I'm trying to figure out like what I want the most. And this is going to sound completely stupid, but I think a lot of people could relate is you don't have to do the same opening theme, but you do have to do the same opening theme. You know what I mean? I don't want that one from the original moving over, but like maybe like update it a little bit, but make it the same. You know what I mean? Make it the same catchy na-na-na-na-na. Like give that to me, but maybe do like a rock or a symphony style. Right. Like I don't know, so, man. Like change it up. You know what I mean? But
here's how we'll please you. We're gonna have like a modern update, maybe from like Mick Gordon or Ludwig Göransson, and but it's like the same theme, just updated, and then the outro is the original, so you have both. And so you can't wait.
That would be cool.
So then you just sit through this, like the end credits, just like here we go.
I would watch it every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was
like, no, I don't want to move on to the next episode. I want to watch the credits so I get my song.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So that is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it. We haven't received any word on the X-Men and when that's going to be coming out so much. So
take their time with it, that's for sure.
But we will keep you all updated. So there is just one thing I wanted to jump in and kind of announce. We did get the trailer for the Beatles Get Back. So Peter Jackson's Beatles Get Back, which will be a 3-part documentary series, which will be coming out November 25th. It was done by a crew that filmed them leading up to their, in that time where the Beatles were kind of on their way out and they hadn't recorded or done anything in a while. And it was leading up to them playing, doing the concert on top of the rooftops. So I'm very excited about that one, and I'll be checking that out over the Thanksgiving break for sure. I hope they dump all of them out at once, and I'm just going to power through them because I'm very excited. I'm a fucking sucker for this kind of stuff.
One of my favorite songs from that is the I Me Mine. I first played that rock band The Beatles, and it was like I cannot find version of I Me Mine that doesn't have all kinds of other like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. It has like all kinds of like, it's not the actual song. It's like, just want to listen to I Me Mine. And like the best way for me to do that right now is just like go find my Xbox 360 like Rock Band guitar and put in Rock Band The Beatles and just play it myself because like there's no other way for me to find it.
Are you looking for the original or are you looking for that the way they did it in the game.
That rooftop's like the one that I play in Rock Band the Beatles. That's the one I want to listen to.
Yeah. Well,
Best.
hey, you know what? We can look into it. They might have it recorded somewhere. We just gotta locate
Hopefully.
it. So, but I think that's all that I wanted to kind of go over. That was a majority of what we saw during Disney Plus Day, 2021. So check out everything else. I mean, they had some more Disney type stuff, but this is the stuff I wanted to really jump into. We don't have the Q&A with DNA, obviously, as Dan is, on his trip, and we won't do the Crumble ranking until Dan is back. Randall, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for talking to us and going through all of this stuff. Again, where can people find you?
So you can find me on, Instagram under, I think my name is like the Grim Blue, which is my gamer tag for all things, mostly. Oh, no, it should be my name, Randal Homberg, at Instagram. And then you can also find me and my comic on Patreon at Randal Homberg.
Cool. Awesome. We'll have the links in the episode descriptions below, so you can check out Randall's information and follow him on the social spheres. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jabberbox episode 22. Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget that we post each and every week about whatever it is we want to talk about. Holiday exceptions for next week. If you like that, please join us over on patreon.com/dandydigital, where you can write in and be part of the show and get the episodes early. If you have no bucks to toss our way, that's just dandy. Please find us and subscribe to us over on YouTube or any of the podcast services that you favor, and rate us to help us grow this show into something bigger and better. Until next time, enjoy the holidays if you're in the US, and we will be back in December. Take care.